Hi everyone, it's Natasha. For if you're new to my channel and my videos, what I do is I do reviews on items that I have personal experience with, despite the fact that how I've acquired them might not be consistently the same. So this was actually a side note to what I was going to talk about, but I wanted to just talk about this. This is kind of not even a review, but more of a health risk issue, and I just wanted to share my experience with it. So a few years ago, I went through a big change in my life, and I thought I couldn't really appreciate fragrances anymore due to the fact that I was always getting sick. I was getting congested all the time. I was getting sore throats. I even had bronchitis at some point, in which I was prescribed an inhaler. I was taken by an ambulance. I have gone to the ER in the middle of the night several times due to breathing problems. Now, at the time, I just thought I moved to the Midwest just recently at the time, and I just thought that the Midwest environment, the weather, everything that came with it, I was just having a really bad reaction to that, and it was hard for me to acclimate, and I probably just didn't acclimate at the time. So I just kind of chalked it up to that. I did move from the West Coast at the time, so West Coast obviously is drier and doesn't have all of the what comes in, environmental nature, as well as weather-wise, when it comes to the Midwest, and how harsh it can be and how beautiful it can be. But still, I'm very sensitive to a lot of different things in nature as well. So I kind of chalked it up to that. It wasn't until last year. It hasn't even been a full year from today, which is, right now it's July 2017. It wasn't even now, a full year, that I didn't know I was living with black mold. So to get into the root of where the black mold came from, before I met my husband now, he bought this super expensive mattress. It's one of those like foam mattresses, and within his first month, his mother's dog, what I remember of the story was his mother's dog was outside. It was raining. It was just covered in water, as well as rolling around in dirt. Came inside, went on his mattress, and he said he was still doing the laundry for his bedding. Crawled on the mattress and rolled around and rubbed itself on the mattress. He said he used bleach and cleaned as much as he could for how long that he did. I wasn't there. I don't really know exactly what happened, but that was the story he told me. When we met, and we didn't use the mattress yet, everything was fine, and then we started living together, and we used the mattress that he had. It wasn't right away. It really was about a year or so until I started getting really sick. I would just get really congested. I would just get a cold and sore throat at least once a month. It got really bad at some point, and this was in the middle of the summer, and I was so frustrated and so angry. I think on the way home, they gave me so much drugs that I had a hard time standing still. I felt like the walls, I can still remember that the walls were moving. The floor was also unsteady. It was so much drugs, because they told me my airway was, I forgot. It was in the 90 something percent. And they said if it was 1 or 2% lower, they would rush me to the ER. I was at an urgent care at the time. So I was 1 or 2 above the necessity for going to the ER. So just imagine for when I woke up that morning, I remember I woke up around 4 o'clock and I emailed my boss and said I wasn't feeling very good. And I said I'm gonna try and toughen it out, and we'll see if I can come in or not. And I remember at 5 o'clock I wasn't getting any better, so I waited until I could go to the typical urgent care that I would go to. So my husband, my boyfriend at the time, we took the bus going there because we really didn't think it was that extreme. When they check your airway and they say, oh, you're 90 whatever percent or 85%, whatever it would be, you still feel like, because I was still breathing. I mean, it was hard breathing. Like I was kind of, I was having a hard time breathing. It wasn't like I was passing out though. So I thought I thought it was just, okay, maybe I'm just congested. But my back was hurting. And like a lot of different things were off, so that's why we went to the urgent care. And I remember I think my boyfriend at the time was I don't know if he skipped work because I really couldn't go. I don't know if he, no, I don't think he skipped. I think, I'm trying to think how he was able to go with me, but he did go with me. And when we were there, there were a lot of people there. It's an urgent care, so a lot of people go. And when they called me, because my airway was a certain percent, I was put in the front of the line. And I never looked sick, ever. The only time I looked sick, I looked really ashy and gray, was I had the flu, and I've had it for like 5 days or something. And I was just getting worse. So that was the only time that I do remember that when you look at me, I will look sick. And it was because my skin looked kind of gray. But that was it. Every time I'm sick, even when I had my surgery, if I had the flu, I had the fever, any kind of just under the weather kind of thing, I never look sick. I just look like myself. I just feel awful, but I never look sick. So when I was there, I still remember the doctor that I was speaking with in the first doctor that I spoke with. She had an attitude. She was really like questioning me and asking all these things like, why are you, you don't look sick, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I can understand that because I was there in their urgent care every other week, and I would have like a sore. I mean, in the beginning, every time she would see me, she was hostile, but I was desperate. I was, I didn't feel good. And I remember every time she would diagnose me, she would just be like, she would have a better attitude with herself. She would be, oh, you have, the one time I would remember was I had a really massive sore throat, and she said, I can't even believe that you can still speak right now, because it is, my entire glands here were completely infected, and as disgusting as it sounds, it had pus, she said. I can't feel that. I can't really sense that. And she said one of them was it had a little bit of blood because it was very infected, and it had so much pus. And so even though she has seen that, when I went there for this particular moment, initially she just, she was just very standoffish. She had an attitude. She was, acting all this stuff. And I don't know why, but she was pulled off my case, and a different doctor came in who did treat me for the rest. And they took an x-ray, they took other tests. I had to blow in this crazy looking tube with a ball in the end, and that was so hard for me to do. So I was diagnosed that I had bronchitis at the time. And I was just in shock. I said, "Are you sure it's bronchitis? Because it's in the middle of July. It's in summer. How could I have bronchitis? Isn't this for like a winter issue?" And they told me you can have bronchitis any time of the year, and you could have flu any time of the year. It's just, it's a virus. So at the time, I had no idea. I've never heard of bronchitis before. I've never had bronchitis before. I've never known anybody to have bronchitis, so I didn't know anything about it. I Googled it, and it was one of those like a progression of getting worse. I mean, maybe not progression, but you're just getting worse from a cold, and then you get a sore throat, and then you get the flu maybe, and then you have a possibility of bronchitis, and then you have a possibility of pneumonia, and then that would be like going to death. They tested me with all different things that I might probably have, like pneumonia and strep and mono, and just a lot of different tests, a lot of swabbing in my nose, in my throat. It was very painful, and the swabs were this long. And I couldn't see how long went in, but my boyfriend at the time said that at least half went through, and he goes, "I can't believe you were able to withstand that." And I said, "It was uncomfortable." He said, "It was painful just watching. It wasn't just uncomfortable." But anyway, so I had so many health issues because we had mold and I was unaware of it. So just imagine, I was always exposed to that mold every day. Minimum. I mean, there have been times that I would fall asleep in our living room on the couch watching TV. That happens to everybody. But for majority of the week, I would sleep on the mattress, on the bed, and even if I did it once a week, that is still too much exposure for black mold. It wasn't until when we bought our house last year, and we were in the plan of moving, and it was a few days before we were moving, or I don't know when we was, but we were going through everything and getting our boxes and getting the movers and getting everything situated, and it wasn't until then that when we flipped the mattress over, it was black mold. And I remember when I first saw that mattress, it didn't look like that. But that was a few years back. It just looked like dirt stains, like grass and dirt stains. It just looked like that. Like it was kind of spread onto the mattress. It didn't really look that severe. So I guess when we started living together, that's when we started using it. And it was always in the bottom part. What I don't understand is why or how it could have just gotten worse. But from what I've researched on mold, is it doesn't matter. A little bit of moisture in the air can really multiply it. It is just going to feed it, and once it starts to multiply, it just keeps doing it. It's just the only way you can kill mold on a mattress is to get it professionally done, and that's not a guarantee. That's not even a guarantee, and you're gonna spend a lot of money on that. The second way to do it, what I've read, is if you're going to leave it outside exposed, and it has to be sunny, and I believe it was like a few days, and that's still not a guarantee. So the only really way to make sure you don't have mold in your mattress is prevention. What we did, we bought a new mattress, and we bought like one of those waterproof guard on it, and So any kind of water or moisture that goes into it, it will bead up, and you can just wipe it off. It's not going to penetrate it. So that there, I believe there's 2 layers. One layer, you never take off the mattress. The second layer, it's washable. So it's, you know, how often you want to wash it, just go wash it. So I just pop it in a washing machine. So that's my story in regards to having been exposed to black mold. I've never been exposed to black mold before until that moment. And you know, there are so many risk factors in there. I'm really very, I would say, very fortunate that it didn't kill me. It could have, because it can kill, black mold can kill you. It just, I wanted to share my experience because it doesn't, just because your mattress or whatever, your couch maybe, or any kind of upholstery that you have, or your wall has black mold, and you're just thinking, it's no big deal. I could just, you know, I'll just leave it there and it'll be fine. That's not really fine. You're going to, that's all the mold particles is just slowly going to be taken in your body, and it's really gonna slowly keep attacking you 24/7, or however long you stay in your home. And usually people stay in their homes, what, 10-12 hours in one day, every day. So just think about that factor. I was just like a frequent flyer to my doctor's office, the urgent care, and the ER. It was ridiculous. And ever since we got rid of that mattress, I've been fine. I haven't had any issues in regards to getting sick, like the flu, getting bronchitis again, needing my inhaler. What else? Getting a sore throat. All the stuff that I had when we had that mattress. I have been getting congestion on a regular basis, but that goes with my pregnancy. It's just your body telling you, it's just your body building up more antibodies, making sure that you are getting extra protected for the fetus's sake. So I know this is an unusual video for my channel. I just kind of thought, you know, I was doing some fragrance reviews, and I used to have like 20, 30 or more fragrances, and I think all of them, except for maybe a couple or maybe one or two, were all eau de toilette. Even though they were lighter than a perfume, they were still so hard on me that I would always get a migraine. It was just so difficult. I mean, I love fragrances so much that even though I would buy a new one and would, you know, hope for the best, it was just still really hard for me to use on a daily basis and use it and enjoy it because of that fact, because I would get a headache, my nose would get stuffy, and in a few days there's a possibility I would get a sore throat, or I would need my inhaler because I would have a hard time breathing. So as much as possible, try to, if you do know any kind of spillage or any kind of moisture on certain items in your house that will soak it up, even your walls, upholstery that has foam in it, upholstery that has anything that might soak in it, try to always check. And you know, your health is always going to be your top priority. You can always replace things, so just keep that in mind. This video is a little bit longer than what I thought it would be, but I wanted to give out as much information as I can, and I always try to do that just so I don't forget even one teeny tiny piece of information. If you have any questions, comments, if you like my video, if you want to subscribe to my channel, most of my videos or reviews, feel free to do all of that. Everything will be extremely appreciated. Thank you so much for watching my video in regards to my experience with black mold, and you have a great rest of your day.